Hey there. I know how much you care about your students and the environment that you create for them. But I also know that with everything on your plate, that sometimes classroom culture can feel like just another thing to juggle. So today we're going to explore 5 simple things that you can do right now that will maximize and enhance the classroom culture that you have, as well as the school culture that you are a part of. And if you stick around until the end, we're going to give you an additional tip that will maximize your impact and your influence on your students and your school community. Grab your pen, grab your piece of paper, and get ready to take some notes because we're going to get started right now. Hey there, Dr. Gordon Amerson here, Superintendent of Schools and Gallup Certified Strengths Coach. And on this channel, we leverage my experience from classroom teacher all the way to the office of school district superintendent to help you go further faster in your educational journey. If this is your first time with us, don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well as the bell notification so you don't miss any cool updates or any of our latest content or episodes. So you wake up every day, you're always thinking about what can I do? How can I make my lessons better? How can I make my classroom better? How can I meet my students' needs better? One of the first things that we think about, and one of the first ways we do that, is the campus and the classroom environment and the culture that we're creating. That rich feeling that your students have when they come into your classroom, that warm feeling you have about the room that you've created, the atmosphere, the environment in your room, around your room, on the campus, throughout the campus. We're always adding to that. We're always creating and helping to shape that. And as classroom teachers and as educators, we have a profound impact on the culture and the climate that we create. So I want to help by giving you 5 things that you could do, 5 strategies you could incorporate, 5 new and different things that you might consider implementing. All right. So we're going to jump right in and not waste a whole lot of time. And let's start with strategy number 1. All right. So strategy number 1 is you want to always set clear expectations with students. And most importantly, you need to reinforce them. Students thrive with structure. They sometimes will buck it at the very beginning. They will push back. They will try to see what types of boundaries they might be able to set. But trust me when I say that if you are able to define what your behavioral and your academic expectations are and be really clear and direct with students, make sure that they know where you stand, but also let them know that they play a role in developing those behavioral and academic expectations and standards, then you're creating a rich environment for students to be able to understand their place, understand their role, understand how they can contribute, understand how they will be held accountable. And that's an environment where students can and will thrive. And then the second part on this is not only do you have to set those clear expectations and then continually remind and reinforce, but you also want to stay focused on being positive, right? How do you use positive reinforcement? How do we move as far away as possible from punitive measures, from punitive reactions, if you will? But how do we positively reinforce? How do we honor and recognize when students are doing what you want them to do, both academically and behaviorally? Because when we give that positive reinforcement, that has ripple effects. Other students pick up on that. Other students feel that. Other students want to also receive those same types of positive reinforcements. And it creates this environment where all students can feel that they're a part of that environment. So strategy number 1, without question, is set those clear expectations, reinforce them, and make sure those expectations are not only on the academic side, but also on the behavioral side, and raise your level of expectations. Make sure you have high expectations for students because that's what they deserve. They deserve us to have high expectations for them, and then use a system where you're positively reinforcing and everywhere you can move away from punitive measures, right? The best way is to positively reinforce students as a way to modify and monitor your expectations of students. And that is strategy number one. All right, let's talk about strategy number two. Strategy number two is make sure you always prioritize relationships over rules. The number one thing that I always did as a teacher, and one of the expectations that I always tried to drive home with my classroom teachers when I was a school site principal, was the ability to create relationships at the door of your classroom. Standing at the door of your classroom, greeting students, using their names. Good morning, Gordon. Good morning, Allison. Good morning, Robert. Using their names, connecting with them, smiling with them, greeting and making sure that they know that you're excited and you're happy to see them. You can't wait to see what they're going to contribute in class that day. These are the ways that we build those relationships. These are the opportunities that we give to students to make sure that they know that we care about them. Right? And one of the most powerful ways that we can show students that we care about them is by creating opportunities for them to weigh in, for them to impact and influence the classroom environment that we are teaching and creating. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about creating structured opportunities for student voice, student agency, getting their voice into the development of lessons, getting their voice into the development of the curriculum, getting their voices directly involved in how they'll be assessed, how they'll be measured, how they'll be graded. That sense of ownership that we give to students when we empower and lift up their voices can be a great way to create the most awesome, engaging, innovative, and inspiring classroom culture and school campus culture that you could ever have. The more you talk to students, the more you elevate their voices, the more engaged they are, the more connected they are, the more ownership that they will take. It's a great place and a great environment where kids are really heavily involved in the learning process that is theirs. We want this learning process to be their learning process. We want them to feel empowered. And so as we prioritize relationships over rules, if you will, getting personal, getting to know our kids, using their names, greeting them at the door, having authentic interactions and engaging conversations with them, and then empowering their voice are great ways to incorporate strategy number two. Strategy number three. Simple, but powerful. Strategy number three is model the attitude that you want to see. If you want students to be happy, respectful, patient, courteous, engaging, enthusiastic, be the example that you want to see. You can't expect students to be excited about the lesson and excited about learning today if you don't have that same energy. You can't expect students to be respectful and joyful if you are disrespectful and not very joyful. These are not hard things, but these are heartfelt things because we want our students to thrive. But we have to remember that our students are taking notes. And I don't mean that they're writing notes necessarily. We want them writing notes, but they're taking notes every day as they watch us. They're watching how we react, how we respond. They're watching our highs, they're watching our lows, they're watching the ups, our downs, and they're taking cues from us. And I can tell you from years of experience, what we project is also what we receive back. We project optimism and positivity. We get optimism and positivity back from our students. If we project impatience and disrespect, we should not be surprised if we get impatience and disrespect back. I'm not condoning students behaving that way. What I am saying is that we just shouldn't be surprised, because no one, including us, including young people as well, nobody likes to be disrespected. So what I'm simply saying is, let's model. If we want a room that is patient and kind and caring, then the very first three things that we should always be are patient, kind, and caring. And then we'll see that reciprocated, right? So strategy number 3 is making sure that we're always modeling the attitude that we want to see in our students as well. Be the example. And that's strategy number 3. Before we move to strategy number 4, go to the pinned comments below. And in the pinned comments below, we have a free gift for you. And this gift will give you some tips, strategies, and resources that will help you in your educator journey and will help you to continue to build your skills, your knowledge, and your capacity. Go to that pinned comment below and accept that free gift. And let's move to strategy number 4. All right, strategy number 4 is similar to some of the strategies that we've talked about already earlier in this episode, but more specifically, we'll delve a little bit deeper, because strategy number 4 is create shared ownership of the learning space. Again, student voice is important, but this goes a little bit further. Let's work with students to create a classroom environment that reflects who they are, what they care about. Let's create a classroom space where students have the opportunity to shape the learning experiences, shape the types of things that they get to explore and be a part of and delve deeper into. We want to find ways to create collaborative learning opportunities and learning spaces where students really get to dig in and explore things and talk about things together with their peers, learning and growing from each other, right? Creating that space will create an opportunity for rich learning that is student-driven, student-led, right? We want students to grow and develop and learn by leaning on each other. We want to operate as guides. We want to make sure that they're there facilitating the learning, but we really want to let students get into the driver's seat. We want them to be able to lead that learning, but we've got to intentionally create that space by creating that shared sense of ownership. It's not just my classroom. It's not just my lesson. It's not just learning that I want, but it is our classroom. It's our lesson, and it's the learning that we want to create for students, with them helping to drive that work. And so thinking about ways to create that rich environment where students have ownership and they can buy in and they have opportunities to do rich learning experiences together is really the key to this strategy. So thinking through and creating that shared ownership of the learning space, that's strategy number 4. All right, let's talk about strategy number 5. So strategy number 5 is celebrate small wins and individual growth. Recognizing our students as they're getting better, as they're every single day incrementally getting a little bit better, moving a little bit further along, inching step by step up the ladder of excellence that we have for them. Recognizing that, taking time and pausing and just holding on for just a moment and making sure that students know that we recognize that they're getting better and that they're moving forward. So making sure that we celebrate those small wins and the individual growth, because growth is the most important part. All of our students are along this different continuum, and different students are in different places. And they don't all move at the same speed, and they don't all get to the same endpoint at the same time together. But if they are all getting better and we are finding ways to recognize that achievement, then we're doing a good job. Finding ways to look at quick examples to be able to showcase progress, recognizing students, their achievements, giving shout outs. Finding ways to use quick recognition, offering shout outs to students, creating and reinforcing excellence by having walls of success showcasing and highlighting their work in a visual way to show that you recognize and you see them and you see their achievements. These are great ways to reinforce the types of things that we want to see. But also, don't forget that there are two dynamics to this. We don't want to just only recognize the academic achievements, but also finding ways to also recognize the behavioral achievements as well. Finding that balance, because those two pieces, both the academic and the behavioral, they feed together, they coexist. And recognizing both reinforces the success and the growth of both as well. So finding ways to celebrate and recognize small wins and incremental progress is critically important, and it will go a long way in increasing, enhancing, developing, and solidifying the classroom culture, the campus environment, the type of culture, the type of space that you're trying to create. Utilize that as a great strategy because students really, really appreciate it. All right. So celebrating small wins and incremental individual growth. Okay. So celebrating small wins and individual growth, that is strategy number 5. All right. So before we move to our bonus tip, share with us in the comments below, which of those 5 strategies are you going to start using right away? You got to pick one, but which of those 5 strategies will you use right away? Put that in the comments below, because we'd really like to see where your head is and what you think you will implement right away to help you create the campus and the classroom environment that you want for yourself and for your students. All right, so let's talk about our bonus strategy. The bonus strategy for today is the 2-minute connection rule. All right, so what is the 2-minute connection rule? It is a powerful, powerful strategy. So imagine for just a moment that you are going through your lesson, you're working with students, you're taking them through their learning objectives, you're giving them some direct instruction, you're seeing some evidence of their learning, you're checking for understanding, you're asking lots of questions. But throughout this period of time, you notice a student who is disengaged. They're not being disruptive, but they're just disengaged. They just don't seem to be connected to the instruction. The 2-minute connection rule is when you notice that and when you see that happening, because we have students who might feel disengaged, they might feel like they're struggling, they might feel like they're being overlooked. The 2-minute connection rule is as you discover who these students are, the student who needs the most from you that day, you take 2 minutes and you connect with them. You sit with them, you talk with them, you engage with them, and you ask some questions in such a way where you're extending the opportunity for them to connect with you. You're extending the opportunity for them to talk through the challenges or the concerns or the issues that they may be experiencing. But what you're really trying to do is you're building a bridge, you're building a relationship, and you're trying to connect in such a way that invites them back in to your lesson, back into your classroom, back into meeting the expectations that you have for them academically, back into the expectations of meeting your expectations that you have for them behaviorally. But what you're most focused on is authentically and effectively connecting and engaging with them because you care about them, their personal success, their social emotional development, and their academic achievement. And so using the 2-minute connection rule, and it can change from day to day. Different students need different things on different days, but you're always on the lookout for who is the student who needs me most that day, and who will I spend that 2 minutes connecting with to make sure that they know that I see them and that they matter to me and I'm there for them. That's the 2-minute connection rule. It will go leaps and bounds over the top for you on the type of classroom environment that you're creating. It will go leaps and bounds for you on the the type of culture that you want to have in your room, around your room, and around your campus. Because as you build those bridges, your students will begin to talk, because they'll feel more connected. They'll feel more trusting of you, and they'll love the type of environment and culture that you're creating. So the 2-minute connection rule is our bonus strategy for today. So if you've made it to this point in the video, thank you so much for hanging with us. We hope that you've gotten a ton of value out of the episode. We want to make sure that we're continuing to provide that value to you as we move along. So if you've liked the video, give it a thumbs up, share it with a friend, share it with 10 friends. And again, if you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button as well. We're on our path. We're continuing to grow this community. We're continuing to build this engaged group of folks who just want to do great things for kids, want to do great things for our schools. They want to continue to build public education into the great bedrock of our community and our society. And if you want more information about how to engage with your students and how to build your professional expertise and prowess, you can check out this next video. This one will help you as well. And if you want more information, you can check the description below for information on our newsletter, for coaching, for resources, all those things that will continue to help you grow along the way. And until we see you on our next episode, as always, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and be well. We'll see you next time. Thanks.